Greetings and salutations. 'Tis I, Big Dan,
Big Dan.
Rodan. I'm coming to you live from the 215s, technically, right? Because we're still,
I think so, right?
Still in Philly.
That's good.
I am the comic book connoisseur, your sommelier of sci-fi and superheroes, here to welcome you to the Blerd Bar.
Blerd bar.
It looks
Blerd
different.
bar,
and that's
Just a little
fine.
bit. We moved
No.
temporarily.
We're just
no
out
a-
of place
no
a little
address
bit,
change.
like Tom Cruise
It's-
at a Baptist church. But
Whoa.
that's not what we're here to do.
Whoa.
So, I just said out of place.
I just
I didn't say anything
Whoa.
worse. I said out of place.
can we say that?
Tom Cruise at a Baptist church is out
You
of
said
place.
it again. I just
We're recording.
I know.
We currently have a live audience in front of us. So
The mayhem.
if we ever don't look at the camera, it's because we're looking at people who are disappointed in what we just said.
It's not a laugh track. We promise.
there
We
is no-
promise.
But I am not by myself.
It might
the
be.
voices you hear are actually people beside me. You can see them too, right?
Woo.
We're a figment
Over
of your
there.
imagination.
No, you're not.
Are you sure?
All these people?
Maybe.
At least one. I get broken here. Start recording. Okay. Man. So
The police will be called. No.
I'm going to hand it over to the architect.
Oh, is that me?
And,
I guess that is me, right?
introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm who he said I am, but great to be here. I'm happy to be here.
Okay.
And,
I thought you
that's
had
it.
what you would call it.
No, it's just,
You
know,
definitely had an intro
I
before.
had one, but it just,
Well, 'tis I, hailing from the land of sake, shinobi, and samurai. The boy is Godzilla personified. Ain't no other name but this to go by. It's your boy, J-Hawk. Caw.
Pterosaur.
Pterosaurus.
And our special guest.
Special.
It's very special. This is actually your place.
It is.
You own this.
we're in your house.
And we just walked in and put up a camera.
And it's not a green screen.
Yeah,
It's not a green
And
screen.
it's not a green screen.
Yeah.
it is not. It is
And
not.
you invited us.
I did.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
This is Graylin Hughes.
I was like, what's the intro?
I'm working on it.
Oh, okay.
I had it memorized.
You told me before there was
Yeah,
a the whole thing.
You made it a thing.
Yeah, you
The
did.
master of this multiverse. Okay, we call him Kang. He is the collector of many toys.
That was good. That was good.
Okay.
There's an audience. This is what's going to happen. I call him Kang, and
There it is.
because this is multiverse, and there's a comic book reference, and that's what I did. But you are a collector of toys. You are a professor, I believe. Correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I got that right.
Professor of something. Yeah.
Of stuff, right? You teach people.
Yeah, I teach people stuff. Yeah.
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 What do you teach?
Officially, they let me teach video production.
Oh, they let
Yeah.
you.
Yes. Yes.
Nice.
The man.
Yeah.
Just letting you do things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Wow.
This comic book store is a hybrid comic book store, is the wording I believe is used on all the legalese, right? So what does that mean, hybrid?
Yeah, so we have a combination of books and novels and graphic novels and comic books and some other collectibles as well. So we really think of ourselves as more of a bookstore more than just a comic shop. Right? But we have a little bit of everything. All things nerdy.
All things
all
nerdy.
the things.
All the things.
Yeah.
Was that ever a contender for the name? All the things.
No, but that's not bad. Yeah.
That could be the second step.
That'll be the next location.
Next location, all the things.
All things.
Cool.
All the things.
I like
That
it.
one's free.
I like it. All right.
Yeah, there you go. Next one. Everybody gets one.
Everybody gets one.
Talk to your lawyer later.
My people will call your people. And,
There'll be an email.
That's right.
Oh, no.
Exactly.
That's the running gag right now. So we've been invited to actually record here at Multiverse to not only just talk to Graylin, who is a great person, by the way, but
great.
to also talk about Sunman
Sunman.
Sunman.
and
Prince Sunny.
Is that what they call him?
Yeah,
That's
that's
his actual name.
That's awesome.
That's why you read the press release.
I know. I was.
preparedness.
Everybody gets one.
Everybody
Everybody gets one.
you used it already. So, all right. We're going to jump into it. We are talking about action figures. The title of this episode is called Solar Flare, Black in Action.
Figure.
Figures. We have rehearsed that, and we did really well, so I'm proud of us.
Yeah.
The action figure part, and to kind of just lead everyone into the episode, There is no cocktail because we are not home, so there's no cocktail. Deal with it. All right.
Purified water. Nice. For you.
This was mixed up and put into a plastic bottle. We're going to deal with it. So, the next part is content, and the content is action figures. So, my question to everyone, Josh, do you have a weird question before I get started?
No, go ahead.
Great, because my weird question is, what's the first black action figure that you had, if at all?
That's a good question.
I mean, does Piccolo count? From Dragon Ball Z?
I'll let it slide.
I'm just saying. He does. It's been proven. He's a black guy. He is.
He's a green guy, but
Co-op.
co-op.
Sure. There you go. But that's the closest. Unfortunately, that's the closest.
Okay,
Yeah.
Cool.
going down the line.
Mine was actually Sunman. Fun story. I told my mom, because we found out that we were doing this. And when I looked it up, I was like, I think I remember the wings. And so I texted her and I was like, hey, Mom, like, did we ever have or no, because I didn't want to lead the witness, right? So I was like, have you ever heard of Sunman?
Because moms be like that.
Right.
Like, of course.
Right. So she was like, well, yeah, no, it was like the first black action superhero. Like, she knew all about it.
Okay.
And then she was like, yeah, I bought you one and you didn't seem very impressed. And I was like, whoa.
That's crazy.
I was like 2 or 3.
I mean,
so
it's
like
fine.
it is what it is.
Attention span.
But I told her that we were doing this. She's like very excited. And so yeah, I got some more now. So Sunday was my friend.
Shout out to moms.
Shout out to mom.
Shout outs to moms.
Raylan?
Cool. So I'm trying to think. I think it would have to be Lando from the original 1980s Star Wars. I'm revealing my age, but I was so
Is that by Neko?
The Empire Strikes Back, the original Kenner line of Star Wars. Yeah, taking it way back to the 80s. So
Sorry, I'm nerding out.
it would
That's what we do here.
It would have been Lando with the blue outfit, and those Star Wars figures at the time had the little vinyl like capes. It's supposed to be a cloak, but it went around the arms. So it was more like a jacket. But yeah, it would have been Lando from Empire Strikes Back.
That's cool.
Pretty cool.
Or Billy D. Williams.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
D. Williams.
Not childish.
For me, it was the Black Ranger, but the head changer action figure.
Oh.
Remember those? So like they
Yeah.
around like the,
Mine always got
The
stuck.
builds were weird. Don't get me wrong. Like they were like very top heavy.
Sure.
Because it was the 90s. They were
Max,
Doritos.
Yeah.
Max
90s,
Grecki?
yeah.
Is that the artist name?
Yeah, very like Max Grecki art style. They probably were designed by Rob Liefeld, but yeah, just the upper body was crazy because they had to fit.
You had
the
to
head
fit-
flip thing.
Yeah.
You had to fit
But-
2 heads at one point.
Yeah,
Right.
At one point, it was just like you had them at a T shape.
Oh yeah. I type every time. Every time.
But that was my first black action figure that I remember the character being black, and you could see it,
Yeah.
right? Not Piccolo, but
Whoa.
I mean.
wow,
Oh, I'm
throwing
sorry.
shots. But like I said, we're here to talk about Sunman as well, and Willa Eason had an incredible story. I've watched so many interviews about it, and once we actually get a chance to meet her and talk to her about it, I definitely want to make sure you guys hear that as well. But her son was asking about the fact that he could not see himself in a toy. And shout outs to a mom who did more than I could have possibly imagined another mom going for. Like, you'd be
Yeah.
like, hey, I want a toy.
Right.
My mom would have been like, you better go see them toys in them dishes.
Right.
If you see that black face in the plate, you know what I mean? You got it. But she made a toy and wanted to make sure that her son felt represented in that toy. And that is literally the birth of Sunman, which I think is an incredible story that does not get talked about a lot. I remember the first time doing the research for this episode, the first black action figure is technically not even an action figure, it's a doll, the G.I.
G.I.
Joe.
Joe.
G.I. Joe, yeah.
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 And I believe it was called the Black... No, it wasn't. It was the...
I think it was part of the Action Force.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Line, yeah.
See, this is where you come in.
Right.
You start chiming in with
He sets it up. You know?
So, G.I. Joe was the first time you saw a black face on a doll for a posable figure, but, they still called it doll back then.
Yeah.
Because, action figure doesn't come around until the 80s. So, I just figured we talk about the history of it and how important it is for us, because these things are very important now to talk about. Otherwise, they don't get talked about.
Yeah, I mean, representation matters, right?
Always.
And I mean, like, Graylin, for the two worlds that you kind of battle, being in academia and in industry, like, which do you kind of find the more challenging out of the two? Or do you like juggling both worlds? Kind of, do you see that they blend a lot? Like, is there a lot of crossover? How do you kind of navigate the two realms?
That's a great question. I mean, there's similar problems in both places. Not enough representation. There are some things that are better now in this industry, in this sort of nerd realm, this nerd world. I mean, it's much better. We have, in terms of comics even, and a little bit of that is seeing more writers and creators given the opportunities to put out stuff. So now we get to see those creations and those stories evolving more and get having that opportunity to sort of see yourself in those characters or imagine a future or imagine something new. So that's been cool, definitely great to see. And it's hard to speak for all of the world of academia, but
sure.
I mean, since you're here,
since you have the podium,
You're here now.
you're here.
We can't ask anybody else right now.
Right. Yeah. It's still challenging.
Yeah.
There's still work to be done. So
For the multiverse side, do you feel as though, like, when you're curating merchandise, curating comics, graphic novels, do you kind of keep that in the back of your mind as far as representation and how that's
absolutely.
shown in your
our
store?
whole store is the sort of mission statement around our store is based around that. So when we decided to open up, and I say we, my wife and I, we decided to move forward with this uniquely interesting and challenging endeavor.
Sure.
We decided, let's do this.
Yeah.
That was really where we started from, of having books on the shelves that you don't always see a whole collection of together. When you walk in our store, the first thing you see are the novels, right? And it's all covers of people of color, and stories. And so,
There's definitely something
set out to do.
It's definitely something I've noticed. Like when I first came into Multiverse, first of all, I feel like it's one of a kind shop, that's for sure. I mean, I remember as a child going into a couple comic shops out in the suburbs, and first thing I was seeing was like Superman, Batman, and not me, right? And so, and that's product of the environment. That's what I was exposed to, so I didn't necessarily look for it either until I got older and realized, like, hey, where are we?
Right.
And so I really enjoy the representation, the level of representation. At Multiverse, it's truly.
That's actually an interesting thing, because I wanted to ask, when did we notice that we were not represented? Because like, how long did for me? I think I never really thought about it until maybe like college or something like that. Like it wasn't. Well, also I was always like very heavily into anime, so like. We just weren't there. Sure. So it was never.
Or it was me. Or you were a Piccolo. I'm sorry. Like this,
or you had Popo, which is like not great.
Mr. Popo?
Yeah.
No,
Oh, sorry. That's
Black Man. What was his name?
I think so. He was.
But like
we don't talk about Bruton.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so like it never really dawned. I can't remember when it dawned on me of like, oh, representation. Like this is important.
Sure. Yeah.
But how about you guys?
Yeah, I think similarly, right? As a kid, you don't realize it, and then you like absorb all of that as you grow up, and just assume, you don't realize that you're not seeing the thing that you should be seeing until one day when you see it, and you're like, oh wow,
that's cool.
Like,
You're like, where did this come from?
Where was all this? And I think, and for me, especially in the '80s, with a lot of the cartoons and the toy lines that all the things that I play with, there was always like the one black character, right?
Sure.
You had in G.I. Joe, you had two in the beginning, maybe.
Yeah.
Right. You had Roadblock, you had Doc, but there wasn't a lot, and so you just sort of live with that like as a norm, like, oh yeah, this is just the way it is.
Sure.
And you don't realize, oh yeah, no, it shouldn't be this way.
Yeah.
And yeah, it wasn't until much later for me also that you start sort of demanding it a little bit of like,
Right.
where's the rest of the?
It went from like, I mean, I guess that's cool to like, hey, where's the representation?
Yeah.
And like, I think that shift is really cool to see, and it's interesting. I say interesting. Seeing the rest of the world come to grips with that, that fact that we want to see stuff and not just be, I don't know, not just accept the status quo.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Checking a box or something.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Like,
I think though, like Static Shock was mine.
Okay.
yeah.
Dwayne McDuffie, first of all, he set it up for all of us,
Yeah.
and I think Static Shock was the first time I was like, wait a minute, he got locks.
His intro is
The
hip
intro
hop.
is fire.
Like,
And it's crazy because like Phil Lamar did so much work before that,
right.
but Static Shock, I'm like, this grown man talking like a kid, and Static Shock was just nonstop.
Yeah. I felt seen,
Yeah,
and it was in a good way. Like, it didn't feel like it was the, butt of a joke or,
Right.
the trope of, the first one to die.
which is crazy because if you don't remember Black Lightning comes first,
right.
but we also remember that costume for Black Lightning. We also remember how Super Friends kind of portrayed Black
Yeah.
Lightning.
Right.
You just don't think about it.
Yeah.
But I think
Yeah.
if they're irresponsible, and I kind of was thinking about this on the way over, we have to stop asking for people who don't like us to make something for us.
Sure.
Because if they don't like you,
Right.
what
You're
they're
not gonna
make
like what
for
they.
you is not gonna be
Like, sure, I'll give you one, but like, you're not gonna like
set up
it.
for you.
I made you something.
It's either going to be slapdash. It's going to be very
Yeah.
It's not going to be thoughtful.
No.
It's not going to be educated or informed because they can only go off of the bias.
Sure.
And I think asking that of somebody that does not care about you, they will not create something that you can care for.
Yeah.
And so, to that point, I think the follow-up question I was going to ask of you: what's your most prized possession that you care for?
In terms of toys,
Just
It's my family.
He's like, depending on the answer.
Quick time event.
nerdiness, because I feel like we can go down that rabbit hole of like, oh, they didn't like us and not representing. I'm trying to keep it light, folks. Okay, just trying to keep it light.
that's a really tough one, right? I would say whipping.
It's not in your head. He was doing that.
Start playing like the Sonic music when he's underwater.
Most prized possession. Yeah, I mean, if it's of the sort of collectible world,
Yeah.
nerd world, yeah. I don't have anything that's super valuable in terms of like monetary value, but I think it is. I have a collection of action figures. I have like a whole shelf of action figures at home in my office, and I think it's more of the. Okay, this is gonna be a weird answer, but it's not one thing. It's sort of my history of all of the things that I've absorbed through cartoons, through toys, through play. I mean, for me, like playing, and this is why Sunman is so important, right? The idea of playing and playing is sort of a way to process the world and sort of find your place in the world. And I think toys are a really important part of that,
Sure.
right? And so when you don't have the pieces that look like you, that you're like, well, where do I fit in the rest of the world? So I think it's all of that knowledge of watching cartoons, of playing with toys, that time spent with just like sitting on the floor and making up worlds and making believe, I think is my prized possession is that history, that those memories, those stories that I created. So.
King Solomon over here.
Right?
Right.
That was a bar and a half. He was like, it ain't a toy. It's the memories.
You got it.
Mic drop.
So I can't say anything now.
Nope.
Like,
Nope. Next question. Next question. This is just
valuable. The wisdom you just gained right now.
Just right.
Walk away with it.
just take that. Take that.
Talking about imagination, though,
We can't even get that in post.
you can. It's just
Are you
in
sure?
there.
No, they saw it.
All right.
But
Sorry.
Dr. Eason was talking about how we kind of talked about the creation of Sunman and how her son didn't have couldn't see it, like the imagination that you were talking about. Like he didn't have the imagination, and she didn't want that to die at an early age. Do we believe that this is still important, or has it changed over time? Like the importance of imagination and like seeing yourself. I mean, yes, we talked about representation and how that matters, but is it still something that's like a core thing of like, no, we should push for this because
it's always important. I mean, it will always be important. I mean, especially when you're younger, when you don't have all of the tools to understand the world, right? Playing and imagination, that is a very simple way of like sort of processing what you're seeing and hearing. And I think, that's always going to be important for young people. And it doesn't have to be through toys. It's just playing with friends. It's imagination. It's who you play with. The things that you watch on television, I think all of those things are all sort of interconnected.
Because it like feeds your imagination.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. And that imagination shouldn't stop when you get older. Yeah, right.
Sure.
Like you should. It's still,
But it's hard.
It's
hard, right?
It's hard
Because
in the world.
bills
makes
are
it
like,
harder,
that's some
right?
great imagination. It'd be a shame if somebody ruined that with a...
But imagination is what allows you to, when you get older, like dream even bigger, right?
Sure.
Like because if you feel like anything's possible, you can continue to imagine a different world, whether it's inventing things or running a country, whatever the thing is. Right? Like, so that should all continue to follow through, and it comes from those.
I mean, to piggyback off of that, I like also playing with action figures growing up. I also had Legos. Right. Legos were like, I mean, although, they're just colored blocks, right? Like you can't really see yourself in Legos because the people are yellow. But anyway.
Hey, colored is colored, okay?
But
Okay, I'm the bad guy.
they heard all of that, okay?
I said what I said. I stand by it.
But, just going to your point of like nurturing a child's imagination, I think it's very important. For me, my background is in architecture and design, and so that was something that heavily influenced my view of the world and like the built environment. And so also that being a field where there are not a lot of us, it was something that I saw and I still see as very important for when I have kids, like that's they're gonna have a set of Legos. Like I feel like that's going to be very important. That playing outside is very important. Yeah. I think
you said
Legos was inside for me.
I mean, I didn't take my Legos outside. I didn't go to like the park and then break out my Legos. So they're like, look at the weird kid. Like, no, I'm not gonna
Legos in the sandbox.
I come back with half my Legos. And my dad's like, "Where's your Legos?"
It's always like one Lego minifigure missing a hand.
Exactly.
Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And I guess to follow up to that sense of imagination is important. Especially being a parent now, I see it, and it's weird to kind of almost shut it down just because you're too busy. But then you're like, wait, they're having a time of their lives making up Mr. Jumblebees or whoever it is, and you're like, I don't know who that is.
Bluey.
It's always something. It's always Bluey related. But Mr. Monkey Jocks is the thing, and you're like, I don't get it, but you're having fun.
It's not for you.
You're not the target audience.
But it's for me to nurture. It's for me to let them feel seen and that they can create a world in their mind.
Yeah.
Because my goal is not to create the next artist, but it's also to make sure that I don't shut that part down.
Sure.
It's up to me to make sure that they feel free enough to choose and not feel like it's been chosen already. So I think to those points of like Legos and your deepest collection being the wisdom you've gained.
The wisdom.
The wisdom. And even Dr. Eason just being able to take the steps to nurture one child and then change the lives of many children is something that has to be respected, appreciated, and something that we kind of all take with us and push forward. Because you teach. I mean, I do IT, so I don't think I'm contributing to the world. But No, I'm coddling people.
Every person who knows how to
I'm just
knows how to
coddling
save a
them.
PDF. Everybody who knows how to like
If
turn
I
caps
feel
lock
like
off.
if I left IT, more people would have an imagination to fix things, but they don't. You know?
Fair.
That's a wild take.
I stand by it.
Okay,
You know?
sure.
You know, all these people just be like, I think for them, and I don't want to do that. Imagine, be free.
Imagine the possibility.
Yeah. All the things you could possibly do.
Yeah.
If I wasn't in the room, but then
They would
that
just
could mean
break the
something.
computer.
They would.
They would they just shut it down. But moving on, the next question I wanted to ask was further down the road of representation, and if there was one thing if there was one area of life that you wanted to see better represented, what would that be? Within the nerdy space, because we can't fix the world.
That's for you, sir.
Yeah,
You first.
I think being the owner of a comic book store, I think just more stories. I just want even more of them, right? We have, there's some great characters. There's Milestone is back with some new issues and things like that. But there's still not enough, right? And so I would love to see more people of color as writers, the artists, as well as just telling new original stories, creating new original characters. We're still, and there's some great things out there, but we're still kind of hanging on to a lot of these legacy stories and characters, which are great, right? But there needs to be new ones, not black versions of Superman or black versions of, whatever the things that people talk about sometimes. That's not the answer. It's like new, interesting stories that will hopefully live long into the future.
I agree.
And have long lasting, connections.
We didn't have the DJ horn.
Yeah.
I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
I didn't want to know what you're talking
The world doesn't need any more Nick Furies. Is that what you're saying?
about. Or Superman's.
I'm just saying.
Or Captain America's.
Just saying.
Respectfully, of course.
Sam Wilson.
Yeah, well,
But that is that's
the
what I'm saying,
conversation.
right?
I almost forgot about. That's the.
You almost forgot about
I
the movie
almost
that's
forgot.
coming out next
No,
week?
I'm saying.
You talking about that
It's
guy?
this switch. This one right here.
Yeah, that's what I said.
This
You
right
forgot about that guy?
That guy.
That guy.
Oh, so I was gonna say. So with. Just completely forgot my train of thought.
Your talking point.
So
You forget Sam Wilson and your talking point?
I mean,
Crazy.
it's who are you?
Right.
Where are we right now?
Wrap this up.
So with so for Multiverse, being in Chestnut Hill, being kind of like the hub for nerddom. What's next? What do you see next? Any pop-ups, things like that, to kind of extend branches into the neighborhood to kind of increase that outreach?
Yeah. So pop-ups, yes. Bringing in more artists, writers into the store to introduce, their works, their stories. We tend to like to buy a lot of, work with artists directly for a lot of independent zines and pieces of jewelry, all sorts of things that we carry here. So just working with more artists and looking at more unique stuff. That's the smaller stuff, the stuff that I think is achievable. The bigger dream fantasy, and it's way out there right now, would love to do some sort of gaming space. So yeah, that may be. I don't know any more than that because that's where it lives right now, in our heads.
Sure.
But that would be nice.
Okay.
Yeah, just for games, role-playing games, board games, tabletop, and the games are excuse to bring more community, right?
Yeah.
The thing I love about this space is that we have a lot of people who are weekly customers, and some people, just come in to hang out and talk and chat and talk about their week, and I as one part of this, owning this store that I didn't realize I love talking to people, but I didn't realize it was going to be such a huge part of this, and have so many conversations about Sunman this week. I've had so many people come through and see it and take pictures because they're like, wow, I had this figure, and we got into a half-hour conversation about toys and action figures and Sunman and Masters of the Universe. So I love, we want to create more spaces where people just can come hang and feel comfortable. Yeah.
Nice. Well, leading into the Blerddom, speaking about universes, if you could choose to be a part of any other universe besides this one, what would it be, or where would it be?
any other universe, like an existing kind of thing. Or
Yeah, like if it's like DC, if it's Marvel, if it's an anime, if it's
Don't say DC.
Just
Don't say DC.
if it's an Eternia, I'm just
The world is your oyster. Just don't say DC. That's what I'm saying.
Oh man.
yeah, like we're
I would actually choose. I love like cyberpunk worlds, so it would be
Okay.
something that I know it may seem bleak and dystopian, but I love like Blade Runner.
I mean, are you going on in with like mods at all or anything like that? Or just
I
like
love those worlds.
Okay.
I love those types of worlds. So I would spend a little bit of time in that world. Then I'd have to come back and take a break from it. But
Solid.
yeah,
Gotcha. Dan, what about you?
Ooh,
Yeah.
not DC.
Not DC. Not DC.
Yeah, not DC. But any other world? The universe of Saga is probably a world I would love to see myself in, and that's very niche. I understand for a lot of people who are like, what is Saga? But it's very alien, but futuristic, kind of dystopian a little bit. But I wouldn't be afraid to be me in that universe. They got other stuff going on that they're not worried about somebody to look like me.
Gotcha.
I kind of want to not be bothered with the rest of the world, you know.
Okay.
Like,
Just do my IT in peace. Like,
Sure.
You know, but the police ain't like walking the streets and be like, "Hey, keep an eye on this one."
Gotcha.
You know.
They wouldn't worry about you.
They're not worried about me.
You're just
They're looking for somebody with, like
inconspicuous.
horns or wings.
Gotcha.
It ain't
You're
got
just
nothing to do with me.
You're
I
mildly
have no
mannered.
horn, no wings.
Gotcha.
I don't fit this description.
That one.
That's the universe. Whatever universe that is, where I don't fit the description.
Okay.
That's what I want.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's a good place to be.
Yeah, it's a safe space.
It is.
Yeah. Sign me up for that.
What about you?
Sorry. I forgot we have a live audience and I was like, here. And people started
just
laughing.
not here. Like, I don't know.
Like,
In this
can we
moment.
leave right now?
In
This
moment,
guy.
right now. That's really hard because there are a lot of, being a huge fan of anime, there are a lot of cool anime, and then you like think about the repercussions.
Sure.
And it's like, like, oh, Jujutsu Kaisen is like, no.
You
You
could get possessed. You could get like it's not a
know,
fun time.
Then you try to go like, childish, like, oh, Pokemon. And it's like, but like they just added a whole bunch of new people that I'm like, just don't know nothing
That
about.
we don't know how wild
And you also
Pokemon
gotta
act.
eat
Like
Pokemon.
that's
Fine.
That's
but,
all
right.
You ever try fried Pikachu?
no, stop it, stop
Deep
it.
fried.
No, no. Mm-mm.
So
Farm raised.
Stop.
it's fun.
I just said stop.
I'm sorry.
I just said.
My bad.
So I can't think of. I'm trying to like look at because like even like Dragon Ball Z, it's like on a bad weekend,
Your planet could get blown
like,
up. Like,
it's all bad. Like,
It's just because somebody punched
right.
another
Right,
person.
right.
That's true.
Maybe Spy Family.
That's
Oh,
safe.
that's a solid, but
I'm not no spy.
See, he don't fit the description. As long as he don't fit the description, you'd be like,
It's like, it's
That's why
fine.
he would chose
It's
Cyberpunk.
fine.
Like,
but is it which part of Westalis is he on? Is he on East or West?
Doesn't matter.
You
I'm
know.
so like.
he goes to work.
It's
Goes
a
to work.
newspaper
I go
stand.
home,
Okay,
like,
that's all you do. That's all you
all
worry
I
about.
He
do.
ain't got a psychic child at home.
Yeah, it's fine.
We're gonna wrap this up here.
Sure.
Because we've reached the end of the episode. But the first thing I want to say is thank you for inviting us. You didn't have to do that. You really didn't have to do that. And I think
He was like, "Don't worry."
He's like, this won't happen again.
Don't worry, I won't.
It was a lot of fun. Thanks for bringing me on.
Secondly, is there anything up and coming for Multiverse that you want to talk about before we wrap this up?
Anything up and coming for Multiverse? I'm looking out at my wife. Yeah, you know.
All right.
I mean, free promotion is free promotion. Yeah, it is what it is. Okay.
Nothing specific. Not right now. The next big thing will be Free Comic Book Day in May.
Okay.
That'll be the first Saturday in May.
I'll be
so
here.
that'll be the big
I'll be here
event.
for that.
So yeah. Just come get your free comics.
Of course,
Yeah.
free comics.
Yeah.
Did we ask? Do you have a favorite black superhero or like a
We did
favorite
not ask
black
that. We
didn't.
character?
Oh, that's a good one. Let's see. My favorite blacks. Oh boy. You got me. You got me on the spot. 'Cause
Sorry, I mean,
I'm
we go-
thinking of a couple things now. I would say, well, what am I reading right now? I'm trying to think of some good books that I'm reading currently at the moment. I I like the new. So they brought. Speaking of Black Lightning, they brought back Black Lightning. I think some of the new. I know it's DC, but
I'm reading it.
He's like, oh, here we go.
Here we go. DC is going.
No, I'm reading
I
it.
like the. So and on the Marvel side, they've done some really good stuff with Storm. Yeah, it changes. I like good stories involving good Black characters. So it's hard to say like this one is my favorite. I just like a good story. And so it depends on what it is. There was a good series that came out a while back called Akugan, and it was like a 4-part series, and it was really cool because it was like barbarian stories, except it was all West African lore. Oh, right? And so it was it was really good.
That sounds fun.
That writer now is I think working on Storm, the new Storm series. So,
that sounds
so that's cool. Yeah, it's a good one. So I love that kind of stuff. Like, oh, cool, this is a great story. It's really compelling. So,
Which is interesting because I mean I know we were like landing this plane, but like we're
We're trying.
back up.
You're like,
It's so interesting because we talk about like representation and everything, and it's like the African culture and like the diaspora that we haven't like even begun to like delve into. Like Marvel, I'm not gonna say just started, but like Anansi and them, like them being like represented and everything, and Bast. But like the Yoruban, like that whole pantheon is just like such a deep culture to like do a deep dive into. So like I have noticed that there have been some people who like have kind of like, dipped their toe into it. Children of Blood and Bone comes to mind. Yeah. But I would love to see like more of that. I think you asked about like what representation I would love to see more of.
is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It got there.
Call back.
Yeah.
But yeah, we want to once again just say thank you. Thank you to everyone watching. Thank you for everyone in the audience. Don't go anywhere for the audience because we will talk to Dr. Eason. And you guys will see that content later on at some point. But do we have anything else we want to say? Because we just out here doing side quests now.
Side quests.
People have reached out to us and they actually like what we do here. So if you see us pop up,
don't sound so surprised.
Right? You're like, what? You do?
Yeah. Jeez. We read the description. So we're just out here doing side quests. The next big thing for us, I think, is BlerdCon.
I believe so.
Some of us will be going to BlerdCon. So
when is that happening?
March 7th.
7th, 8th, and 9th.
Right, soon.
Yeah. So we'll be out there. And just side quests, baby. Until we come back officially in August for our 10th season and our fifth year.
There you go.
You got
there.
There.
You go.
5
Numbers.
Years. 5 years. So once again, thanks to Multiverse. Thank you to Graylin. Sarah. I want to say that correct, right? Sarah. I'm sorry. Every time. I'm just... I'm going to get it. So, go visit your local comic book shops. Make sure you're supporting the people who are actually supporting you and representing you respectfully. And as we always like to say here, y'all have a blessed night. Peace.
Deuces.